We all have a choice in life. We all have the choice to either go after what we really want the most or go after what we really need the most. Right now, it's Spider-Man. No more. I'm Spider-Man. No more. No more. How's it going to all of my friendly neighborhood YouTubers and my friendly neighborhood followers on Instagram? Welcome to the next video on Starling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today I'll be giving you my review on Spider-Man 2 as part of the Marvel Monday series that I'll be doing every Monday going forward until the end, until New Mutants. Before I begin, if you are new to my YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below, share it to your friends and family, and most importantly, watch it from beginning to the last in the train ride. And the same thing if you're on Instagram. Don't forget to share it on your story to your friends and family, forward it to them, like, leave a comment if you have anything good to say about this iconic sequel. Most importantly, watch. Let's get to it. So, when a failed nuclear fusion reaction experiment results in an explosion that kills his wife, Dr. Otto Octavius is transformed into Dr. Octopus, who was a cyborg scientist with deadly mechanical tentacles. Doc Ock blames Spider-Man for the accident and seeks revenge. Meanwhile, Spidey's alter ego, Peter Parker, faces fading powers and self-doubt. But to make the matters more complicated, his best friend, Harry Osborn, has hatred for Spider-Man, and his true love, Mary Jane Watson, has a sudden engagement to another man. Now, we all have great things to say about Spider-Man 2, and I do. I know you probably guessed by the way that I'm feeling about the video, that the feeling in the video that I probably have some bad to say. Of course not. That's just because I'm Spider-Man. No more. But Spider-Man 2 is such a legendary sequel. It has been regarded as not just one of the best superhero movies, but the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Like literally, everybody roots for Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man sequel has the best Spider-Man movie ever out of all these reboots that we have gotten, and Into the Spider-Verse. But that may all change after this December in 2021. As far as the story goes, we already know how crucial the phrase, "with great power comes great responsibility." How crucial that phrase is in Spider-Man's world. But the plot of the movie takes this saying even more seriously, and the theme of responsibility becomes thought-provoking to an audience who has always fantasized about being a superhero. Just think about it. Have you ever sat in the audience or just watched any superhero movies and you wish, man, I wish superheroes could exist? But superhero films like Spider-Man 2 kind of help you change that perspective a little bit. Because while it looks like all fun and games to be a superhero, saving the world, flying around, looking strong and heroic, long story short, life is hard, but the superhero life is even harder. Because the weight of responsibility that a superhero carries is doubled up. But for Spider-Man, it becomes hard for him to choose. And all this is very evident in the opening moments of Spider-Man 2. I mean, we see him breaking the less than 30-minute guarantee at his part-time job as a pizza deliverer, 1. He is falling behind on his college work, 2. He is failing to send enough pictures of Spider-Man for Jameson, 3. and his rent is overdue. So it's safe to say that Peter Parker cannot strike a balance. Throughout the film, we see Spidey's powers continuing to dwindle in the midst of his battles and superhero work. But that is not to say that Spider-Man should not exist. I think Spider-Man is the best thing to ever happen in the Marvel universe. But this is more so saying that he should get up to speed on his personal responsibilities, which are ones that he long had way before he was bitten by that radioactive spider, which wasn't even radioactive in the films, but you know what I'm trying to say. To be honest, there is no point in using powers that will continue to fail you, but to put them on hold so it would eventually do what it was meant to do. Yes. Yes, that's the point right there. That's the point that I'm trying to make. To put these powers on hold so that they would eventually come back. Yes, I'm back. I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm back. The characters. Now we're in full effect. Now we're saturated. Now we're spidered up. Most of the characters in the second entry in Spider-Man's Sam Raimi trilogy have interesting character arcs. Now, obviously, Peter Parker's double life as himself and his alter ego Spider-Man start to reach an early turning point, and it causes Peter to question his superhero responsibilities. The unexpected malfunctionality of his powers seem like it helps him to do better in his personal life, and that is the point. Like I said, that's the point I was trying to make. But we can see how his sacrifice for his identity of Spider-Man has set the old Peter Parker back into motion, and it allows the character to make up for everything big and small, from catching up to some of Mary Jane's plays, to getting better grades in college in Dr. Connors' class. Sound familiar? Dr. Connors? And having some downtime with Aunt May and revealing some truth about the day of Uncle Ben's death. Meanwhile, Harry Osborn spends most of the movie obsessed with catching and finding Spider-Man, which he believes is who killed his father, Norman Osborn, aka Green Goblin. The sequel has some of the same slow and soothing moments with the characters that the last one had, and that is what made it just as compelling. Now, Willem Dafoe was a sinister Green Goblin, let's be honest, but Alfred Molina simply killed it as Dr. Octopus. I mean, even to this day, looking back on this movie, which came out in 2004, the same year as another great superhero movie that I critiqued a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a couple weeks ago in the Pixar franchise, you may know it. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is one of the best castings in any superhero movie to this day, and is my second favorite live-action Spider-Man villain. I'm sure I mentioned who my new favorite was. I'm in my Far From Home review, I said that Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, won me over and beat the title for my favorite Spider-Man villain on screen since Dr. Octopus. And it made so much sense to not have a ton of sinister schemes with Doc Ock, but to have a guy who is trying to follow a dream. Because Peter Parker is taking a little intermission with being Spider-Man, and in the midst of it all, Peter learns that, in the words of Parker, sometimes we have to be steady and give up the things we want the most, even our dreams and desires. We do it for the better of everybody else around us. And all of those changes we saw Peter go through, giving up his role as Spider-Man for a little while, made all the difference with his personal responsibilities. But aside from all that, we see one of the best action sequences in any superhero flick, the iconic clock tower and subway train fight between Spider-Man and Doc Ock. Like, that fight is so iconic, I could not find a way to recreate it somewhere around here. Rotten Tomatoes gives Spider-Man 2 a 93% score. Nice. Spider-Man 2 is just as great as its web assessor. But the big standout in the sequel is the thought-provoking concept of the superhero life and how much responsibility plays into each of our individual lives. But yet, the thought of the superhero life is so, the concept of the superhero life is so thought-provoking, it causes even fans like me to second-guess the imagination of the superhero existence in reality. But the character moments, the action, the plot, and the message at play are just as deeply compelling. So I will give this movie a perfect score as well, 10 SOs out of 10. So that is my review on Spider-Man 2. You can let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section below. And I'll see y'all guys tomorrow with the next episode of my Pixar playlist. Good night and Happy New Year.